Today I'm going to show you my exact process on how I take unedited video clips of mine and turn them into a full video ready to post on YouTube with no editor and no $500 a month bill. We're going to walk through what I'm having AI do and how I optimized it to save me even more time. And by the end, you're going to understand how to build something similar for yourself to do the same. I use this exact process to edit the video you're watching right now. But I'm not telling you that AI edits better than a professional. I'm telling you that it saves me time and $500 a month. And that's definitely worth showing you. A regular editor for videos costs either a monthly subscription to have them ready on call or a certain amount per video. And editing from scratch takes too much time because you have to scrub through the entire video clip, find all the mistakes, remove them, and make sure everything's correct. And when you need to create graphics as well, it doubles on the time because first you have to create the graphics, then you have to slot them in with the cuts, and then render the video. And so putting all of it together takes so much time, and that's why you would be hiring an editor in the first place. So what I did is I used AI to create two different workflows to help me reduce the time it took to actually do those processes. Firstly, I created a video cutting flow where the video was transcribed by an AI speech-to-text model. Claude then analyzed the transcripts for cuts, looking for mistakes where I said the same line a few times and suggesting cut to only have the last one. It presented that table as a chart to me, and then it would actually do those cuts so I could take them to a full video editor like DaVinci Resolve. I also created a video graphics workflow where AI went and suggested graphics for me. Since most of my graphics have the same branding, it was able to create new graphics very quickly and tell me where to put them in the videos. And together, both of these save me a whole bunch of time actually editing the video. And so here's how it actually does this. You can see over on the screen the workflow for my video cutting. I simply tell it the video cutting command, and then the video number, finds all the video clips for me, and then it transcribes it. That's what all this is. And then in here, it actually lists out all of the different cuts that it's going to make. And sometimes it tells me to make a decision on how to cut a specific clip because there's a little more complicated. And then I tell it to continue, and it actually does those cuts, keeping 72 seconds, cutting 90 or 79. You can see so on and so forth, how many cuts it's making, or what the ranges are, what it's keeping, what it's cutting. And by the end, it shows me how much was trimmed, what it was, and what was removed. For the graphics, I use my video graphics command. I tell it the video number and to create them. It goes and creates them up in Remotion for me to review. You don't see the review here, but it lists them out for me. Then I tell it to render them, and then it goes and actually renders them into actual MOV clips ready for me to use in my editing flow. Claude makes this part easy because Remotion is a tool for AI agents to use that allows it to create the graphics for me. The cutting and the graphics got me most of the way there, but I still had to trust an AI's cut list without seeing it, and then I had to place every graphic by hand, hoping it landed right. There was even one time where I had to completely restart editing a video because the AI got it entirely wrong. So I built something that actually shows me before anything is final. It shows me the cuts, the graphics, all of it, instead of just trusting the list, and I can actually change anything if I need to before it renders. Being able to see the cuts before committing anything actually saves me a lot of time. Video editing for me is a very visual process, so I'm looking at where the video is starting, where it's ending, and the audio within it. And so being able to see the cuts allows me to see where AI misses something, where AI gets it right, and to adjust the small things to get it into a better video flow. I also don't have to do the second step of uploading anything to an actual video editor tool like DaVinci, which also saves me a whole bunch of time. And so together with AI, we built Cutroom, which is what AI called it, but it's an app that allows me to see where the cuts and the graphics are suggested from the AI within the actual video. It gives me a whole bunch of ways of adjusting and creating edits and moving graphics around, and I can visualize everything from one app. And so here it is, and you can see a whole bunch of stuff here that I'm going to explain. Firstly, I have my video viewer, which just allows me to see the video in action here. Then I have my video and audio timeline that I can scrub through. I have the actual audio detail thing here, so I can make edits within the audio. So if I go over to this one, I can do it based off of the audio level. I then have suggested cuts and suggested graphics. And so these all line up with different things up here. The graphics are at the top and the cuts are within the video. And so if I select this one here, you can see I select it there, and I can move it by a second, move it by a frame. or I can move it up and down the timeline. Same thing for the cuts. I can move all of these with this manually in here and within here. So you can see me dragging it within the audio detail here. And so you can see I can click through all of these, do my editing, visualize it. And when everything is done with a specific clip, I just hit confirm to make sure that I know it's done. And if I ever miss anything, so if I go somewhere right here and say I want to cut out this silence, I can do add cut. It creates a new cut within the video. I can shrink it down to where I want it. And so when the video gets rendered, this new cut actually gets added. I can also do this with graphics. And so I have the graphics list here, and I can add this into the right folder to actually have new graphics to insert here. But since I don't have any, we don't need to do that. I can drag around the timeline. So if I want to go see these cuts, I can. And so it's giving me a whole bunch of options on how to actually edit the video. Finally, I can confirm all of the different clips, and that lets the app know that everything's ready to run, and I can click this and start running the edits. For now, we're going to keep it here, but I'll do that in the next section of the video. Now, this is just my video editing setup, but it's one piece of a bigger picture. And if content in general is what drops first when client work gets busy, that's exactly what I look at in my free AI business audit. I'll map out where your team's time is actually going and what's worth automating first. Link is in the description. But I showed you pretty much everything in the app, but you don't really know how it actually works. We can throw everything into a fancy looking interface, see all the cuts and graphics on screen, but when we actually need those edits done, what happens? If the app can't actually do it all for us, then it's no better than doing it by hand. So next, we're going to take a look at the outputs and do a comparison. If you're not checking your outputs with AI, then they can go drastically wrong. This is with the actual creation of the app or even the simple workflows that I said before. I had a few issues with the cutting workflow, and I worked on it to make sure it was good before actually creating the app. And I would have many more problems bug fixing the app if I didn't do that. So if I'm not checking this and making sure it actually works, and if I'm still having to actually assemble everything in DaVinci Resolve by hand, then building the app was basically for nothing because it doesn't really save me any time. And so to check our output, we're going to actually render the videos within the app. We'll check the output based on the original clip. And we'll also be looking at doing this in DaVinci Resolve to see how much faster that progress would actually be. And so we come back to Cutroom, and when we do this run edits, it basically just shows us a confirmation screen and a loading screen on the progress of all the cutting. So I'll skip you having to watch that. But this is where it's pulling from. It's pulling the original footage from my AIOS content folder, and it creates an edit folder in here with all of the trimmed clips. And so we can take a look at the hook here. We'll see that we do have a cut right at the start. On the original clip, we should see a little bit of silence from me before I start talking. So let's look at that. And so you saw that there. I had a little bit of silence there. What happens when we look at the actual trimmed hook? You can see immediately that I start talking right off the bat. Also, if we scrub through here, we should see this graphic at 14 seconds, so maybe a little longer because of the cutting, but the graphics actually burned into the video here, versus if we scrub through this, already past 14 seconds, but you can see there are no video graphics actually popping up here. So you can see the immediate difference within that. The unedited is a 1:30 clip versus a 45-second clip on the edited one. And so that shows you the immediate difference there. Now we can take a look at DaVinci Resolve here, and you can see all of the different things in my media section over here in the top left of the actual stuff I have to upload. You can see all of the different clips. These are the original video files. You can see little trimmed versions. You can also see all of the different MOVs, which are my graphics. And so if you look at this timeline, I know they're all gone because I deleted this video and all the footage, but you can see in here that I hand placed all of these different graphics. And if I go click to like this section here, you can see cut, cut, cut. You can see all these different cuts that I had to go make because I couldn't see it originally from the cutting, that I had to, fix everything that Claude did. And I had a whole bunch of awkward silences that I had to edit out. Versus, and if I come back to like this section here, and if the silence was a bit too long, add cut, drag, drag, move on. So much faster. I don't have to worry about the graphics being burned in, and everything is just suggested to me. So instead of having to do multiple passes over the same video, it's a singular pass over the video from the front where I can just click play, watch it go, watch it jump over the cuts actually, and make the edits if I need adjustment. But me showing you this and you actually being able to build it for yourself are two completely different things. So next, I'm going to show you how to start building something like this for yourself. And you don't need to create the exact same thing I do. I encourage you to create something that actually benefits you in your own way of doing things. And so everyone's got a different way of doing something, but showing you how I built this for myself should help you in building one for yourself. And so firstly, I'm going to show you how I created those original 2 workflows. I'll show you how to do the video cutting to take those video clips and remove mistakes. Then I'll show you how to do the video graphics one to take graphic suggestions and render them. And then I'll show you how those 2 workflows involved into the app and how I built it. And so here's a quick artifact that Claude just whipped up for me. We can see the actual workflow visualized for us in text. So the video cutting takes raw takes into finished clips. Claude loads the footage from the video folder, transcribes every word. Each clip is sent to a cloud speech-to-text service for transcription. Then it's going to flag the problems for us. Automated scan reads a transcript, flags retakes, restarts, stumbles, filler words, all that kind of stuff. AI does a judge on every of those flags to cut or keep it. Simple rule. This is me actually saying this. I had to reiterate this a couple times so Claude got it right, but always keep the clean final take because that's usually the take that I'm taking or that I want in there. We don't want to trim the last words of the clips. That's where we get the weird cutoff times. And when in doubt, we want to keep the footage for me to actually go and edit myself. You can see 5 and 6 are where we change the video cutting to adhere to the Cutroom. But in the original workflow, it just skips over them. When I verify that they were good, I just say to render and it would trim them. So the output would be trimmed graphics, or trimmed without graphics, but ready for final assembly. Now, the video graphics still works about the same as it did originally. It reads the script, and in the script, I have specific little items that show that this is a graphic for you to pull out. You can see it just have like graphic notes here. Then it takes those notes and builds them out. So we have templates. If it's not already a template, it creates a new one and builds it. Stage it for preview, so that goes to me to make sure they're all clean. Then I approve it. Then it renders as a transparent video, so something that pops up in my bottom right has a transparent background that doesn't block everything. And then once it renders it, that's where it's going to the handoff to cutting thing here. And so to create something like this, all you need is a skill creator tool that you can find somewhere on the internet for free, or you can use Anthropic's skill creator tool, whatever you want. To create something like the video cutting thing, you can come in here and say something like the following. I want to create a video cutting tool where it cuts out the mistakes that I make within a video. I want it to first find the videos in a specific video folder that I give you. I then want it to transcribe all of the video clips so you have the actual text to reference. Then when you have that text, I want you to do a pass over it to find different mistakes that I make within it. Those mistakes are like saying the same thing a few times as different takes, stumbles on words, filler words, other general things like that. A key rule to follow would be to always take the last good take. And if you ever doubt anything, just keep the footage and tell me about it. I want you to come back to me with the suggested cuts for me to review. Once I say they're good, and after we've made any necessary changes, I want you to then take all of those cuts and actually cut it out of the video so that the new video is shorter without the mistakes that you found. I want this to be a / command where I can do / video cutting and giving you that video folder for you to then go and start the process. And so pause the video now. You can copy this prompt exactly. It's very bare bones. I would recommend putting this in plan mode before getting it, implementing it. But something like this should get you started in creating that video cutting workflow. You'll probably have to test it and figure out all the bugs with it, but this should get you started. The actual transcribing tool that I use is 11 Labs. You can use them. You can use OpenAI's Whisper model if you want. I don't know which is the right recommendation. That's a question you can ask AI for. Just ask it which is the best speech to text transcription model for this before even, sending this off to implement, and actually have it use that. For the video cutting, it's a little more complicated, but the first thing you really need to do is go to remotion.dev and have Claude take a look at that. Claude should be able to set you up with a project within your workspace. You really need to learn this, how this operates a little bit before running it, just to understand it a little bit. Ask Claude how to set it up, ask Claude how it works, all that kind of stuff. Here is that website. You can go probably to resources, to like prompts or stuff like this to see how to do prompts. But you're really just looking for the Claude Code implementation for installation, or you can just ask Claude to look at the website and figure it out. But once you've implemented this and I actually write these in my script, so that's how I'm going to say this, but once you figure out a way to actually create the graphics that you like, you're going to give it this prompt to actually create those graphics. Those graphics can go off a branding folder and basically be customized however you want it. So take that into mind and take this prompt. I want to create a video graphics command that goes and creates graphics based off of notes that I have in a script file. The graphics will tell you the shape and the actual text that I want to be put into the graphic. I want you to use my branding folder to understand how I want the graphics to be branded and looking like. I want you to make it into a / command that I can tell you when to run. I want you to create a template for any new graphic types that we create. But if it's a reusable graphic type, please find the original template and add the new text to it. I'm going to give you a list of different graphics to create, and I want you to create all of them for me to view in Remotion first. Once I have viewed them in Remotion, I will come back to you and confirm or tell you to make any edits. Once we are done making edits and I have confirmed, I want you to render them all in .movs with transparent backgrounds so that they can be burned onto existing video files. And so that was a little bit messy of a prompt, but you get the idea. Tell it how you want it to operate. Tell it to learn Remotion a little bit, and you should be fine. Now for the actual app, it's a little simpler than that. Simply, if you're using Fable, it should be able to do a good first pass over the app idea. But what I did was I started with Claude Design, and I actually used MS Paint to create this silly little wireframe for it to go off of. And so I actually used Paint to create all this. I gave it this prompt over here, and it created, and I used the prototype selection for Claude Design, and I worked through this until I got it how I liked it. Once you have the design done, simply I click share. This actually changed in the recent in a recent update. So you should just be able to click Claude Code. And I downloaded the zip and gave it to my Claude Code. And then what I did was I came back over to Claude. I pointed it at the zip file, and I said basically the following. I want to create an app based on the prototype that I just gave you at this file location. And so obviously fill that in. What it's going to do is go in between the video cutting workflow. You will transcribe and suggest edits for each video, but then you will launch the app and visually show them to me within the app. You can see how it works within the design. I also want you to take the actual video graphics and suggest placements in there for me. These placements should be based off of the transcript. I want to be able to see the actual video with the graphics as a preview. I want to move around in the actual timeline, and I want to drag edits back and forth to make quick edits to the cuts. I want to be able to move cuts by second and by frame. Same with the graphics. I want to be able to confirm. I don't need to even finish this full prompt for you to get to the idea. Every single feature that is on your app design that you created, you tell Claude. So for the clips, the confirm will lock a edit in for me to move on to the next one. When all things are confirmed, the run edits allows me to confirm and start rendering and burning the graphics in. When I get to the cuts, I need you to cut first before burning in the graphics. When I click add cut, I want you to add a new cut suggestion into the timeline. Graphic should select different graphic options like you saw before, all that kind of stuff. And so explain all of that in this prompt. I would recommend using Fable if you have enough room on your plan, and just letting it figure it out and coming up with the app. This whole video was about video editing, but it's really just one example of what's possible when you start using AI like this. If you're looking at your own business and wondering what's eating your team's time, that's exactly what I map out in my free AI business audit. The link is below. And if you're not subscribed yet, I post regularly every Tuesday and Friday. And if client work always comes first in your business, what is the thing that you do to keep content and marketing from slipping in your own business? Please tell me in the comments, and thanks for watching.